Hello there. Haven't seen you in ages. Where have you been? I am here, and I am Danny Gregory, and I'm here to draw with you, and I hope that you're here to draw with me as well. I'm I'm wearing these dang-fangled, what look like drop earrings that are actually sort of microphone headphone things, just because I wanted to make sounds that you could hear. And also, we are we're in the you can't really see around this room, but we are in the middle of lots of production on all kinds of things right now. And it has been hectic, and that's why I have not been around to draw with you or to draw with me very much either. I've drawn a certain amount, but not nearly as much as I like to. And but I'm here today to draw with you, and to talk about. Well, let me begin by telling you one of the things that I've been doing, which is, as you can see down below here, there is a URL, and that URL is an abbreviated URL that will take you to the sketchbookschool.com website, where you can sign up for our new mixed media journaling class, which is a departure for us in the sense that we haven't ever done anything about mixed media before, but it's certainly something I've known about and been interested in for a long, long, long time. Collage, uh, stenciling, rubber stamping, calligraphy, building up layers of stuff with all kinds of cool materials, and I find it, it's a thing that has worked in my sketchbook in various ways, has certainly influenced me, and so I was really excited to be able to start working on a course around this idea. And so Kosh and I tracked down some really amazing artists, and we're launching this class pretty soon. November 11th. Is that it? I think it is. It's been a blur, as I say. But you can sign up now, and you can watch the trailer for it. In fact, I can even share that trailer with you if you haven't seen it yet, because I'm quite proud of it, and it's represents some of the a little sort of taste of what the class is about. Well, I'll get to that later, if at all. But in the meantime, if you just type in bit.ly mixed media journaling, or if you go to sketchbookschool.com, you can learn more about it. I'm just going to leave that URL up there so you can write it down and check it out later on. So if you've never done mixed media journaling, this is your chance to learn a bit about what it is. It's a great opportunity to, it doesn't involve drawing necessarily. You can certainly draw as part of it, but it doesn't require drawing. So that's why a lot of people like it, because it's sort of an entry level kind of thing. And this class is designed to be, to some extent, an introduction, but it also, if you are already a mixed media artist, I think you'll find a lot of interesting things that you'll learn about. And there's some great teachers. So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining me here. I see Sue just screeched in the door. Kathy, Robert, nice to see you, Robert. Bonnie in Oregon, and Valerie in an Irish mood, saying "top of the morning" to me. It's just past the top of the morning and into noon here, into lunchtime. Thistle, nice to see you as well. Brenda, Deb, Jules, Dagmara in Deutschland, and many others. So here's what I want to do today. I want to talk about my new car. And then I want to see what we can do to capture it once and for all. My new car. Yes, it's a beauty, isn't it? It is. It's smallish, but it is beautiful nonetheless. So as you know, I'm a New Yorker. So this is what comes when you're a New Yorker and you want a new car. I've owned cars, I have. But owning a car in New York City is an extremely expensive proposition. The last garage that we had, because you can't park in the street, because if you do, basically you'll get a ticket every day. But the last garage that we had cost, oh boy, it cost, I think, at least twice or maybe even three times what my first apartment cost. Between insurance and rental, it was close to 1,000 US dineros every month. I was forking out for this stupid car that I hardly ever drove. So I packed up my son, who had just graduated from college, and we drove across country, and I left him in Los Angeles with my car. But meanwhile, I have this one. And this is an interesting thing to practice drawing on. You know, if you've never drawn cars, or if you'd like to practice drawing cars, even if you own one, this is a very convenient way to get yourself a little model like this and to use it. And that's what I want to do today. So I'm going to put up a little couple pictures of this guy, and we will be able to draw from the pictures. And I will be able to draw live from the model because it's sitting right in front of me. But if you don't want to draw from the photo, that's good. Better, in fact. Maybe have a picture of your own car that you've put up there, or maybe you are sitting in your garage and you're ready to draw that way. That would be cool. Sit in your garage. So let me just get this set up here to put myself in the corner here. I wonder how you all have been. I haven't spoken to you in several weeks. I've been on a series of trips. I was most recently, I was in Jersey City a couple days ago, but I was also recently in Phoenix. No, I wasn't in Phoenix. I'm going to be in Phoenix in 2 days. I am, as you can tell, a little disoriented. But I was in St. Louis not long ago, and now I'm here. So let me just see if I can remember. I honestly am having trouble remembering how to use my cameras. So that'll take me a second to figure out. Yes, but anyway, so we were filming in St. Louis, and that was fun. But it's just been the last few months have just been a ridiculous amount of travel, and which is sort of fun, but it's also kind of exhausting and disorienting. So let's just go to this camera. Yeah, I've been drawing this guy for a while. Let me show you. I've been drawing him without really great success. One of the things I've discovered about drawing this car is it doesn't look like you think it looks. You think that it's kind of squat and round, but in fact it's not. It's actually sort of much longer than it would seem, which is sort of strange. It's not squat and cute. It's kind of long and thin. So I've had trouble drawing it, and let's see if that trouble continues today. Let me put up a picture to show you what he looks like. Let's start with the front, because I just took a picture of that, and that's the front of the car, which is the most sort of commonly recognizable part of it. And I think I'm going to start also by drawing with a kind of a thick marker, It makes it easier when you're drawing with a thicker marker, I think. So I'm just going to basically draw a contour of the outside. But one of the things that's tricky about drawing cars is it's so easy to mismeasure the lengths of certain parts of the car, So invariably you end up making the proportions wrong because it's so hard to get those things wrong, right? So you know, like they invariably like how tall is it? How long is it? This is in some ways the easiest perspective to have on this guy, I think. Sort of a bit of a thing there. Yeah, you see already though. I mean, I think it's deceiving to see like how long the hood is. Right, the hood is. If we measured the hood, if you measured, you know, I'm trying to point at this photograph here, but if you measured the length of this part, well, I'll do it on my drawing. If you measure this part, and then you compare the length of it with the length of that, all right? So now when I eyeball it, you know, I already see that I've made the windshield way too long. So, you know, these are the things that happen is like you think of the windshield as being like really important and so therefore quite big, but of course it's way smaller than the hood, the trunk is. I mean the hood, the bonnet, the what is it called? This bit, the hood, the bonnet. You see, my origins revealing themselves to you once again. So yeah, so that's like the familiar kind of face of this car. But let's try a different perspective. You guys ready? Let's try that. So this is essentially looking at it from the side, but of course it's actually looking at the top as well. It's not a straight, it's sort of looking down on it a bit, which you can do more easily with the model car. Sorry, am I not speaking loud enough? Okay, I'll turn up my volume. Tell me if it gets distorted in any way. But glad to accommodate you. 1 second. Is that better? All right. Hopefully you can hear me now. Let me know, Kindle Parsons, if I did that correctly. Okay. So so now I'm starting here again with this part of the car, which is the section here. I think I'm going to start there, and then the question is going to be, how long is this part? How long is that part? If we look at them, they're sort of basically the car is divided into three, it would seem to me. There's this part from here to the back, from here to this part, and from here to the front. So thinking about that helps a bit when you're trying to worry about your proportions. When I look at it from, yes, so yeah, that's more or less right. So the roof is about 1/3 of the car, and the back is about 1/3 of the car, and the hood is about 1/3 of the car. So looking at it from the side, that's more or less what it looks like. But I think part of the problem with drawing a VW Beetle is you think of it as being like this, right? You think of it as having this like big lumpy, but actually when you look at it in reality, it's actually much more like this. So it's like, again, how do you wrap your mind around what you think it looks like and what it actually looks like? So that is one of the struggles we have, as usual, with drawing so many things, that what we think they look like and what they actually look like are kind of different. And then we'll get to another problem that I often have with drawing cars, which is the wheels, right? Because again, we have a really distorted, or at least I have a really distorted sense of what the size of the wheel is and where they actually sit on a car. See, like I've drawn that, and it already feels big to me. Yeah, I'm worried that it's going to be big. We'll see. Follow the contour, says Thistle. Yeah, that is exactly right. But here's what the problem is I have with drawing the contour is the sweep of these long lines here at the top, and the same with the hood. That when, and also this door thing, like how wide is that? So simply drawing the outside of the edge of it. I'll try that here. I'll try drawing just the outside edge. We'll see. Maybe Thistle's right. It's not the first time that she's been right about stuff, at least in my estimation. And she might be here, but, and again, she says to draw the negative space, which is, again, one of the things that I talk about a lot, so I should be listening. I shouldn't need Thistle to tell me this. But a little unsatisfying. Doesn't seem quite right. Let's go back to this guy. See, I think the problem that I have with this is I didn't get this angle right. I didn't make this hood nearly long enough. And this line, and then this line kind of goes across, pretty sure. Goes across. And this is sort of cut in half. So yeah, it is a matter of just like breaking it down into its component parts. But you don't want to lose the overall gesture of this car, which is kind of what its signature is, like the overall sweep of the line and where you go with that. Because that's what's iconic about this car is the overall shape and proportions. See, I'm cheating a bit by filling in these tires because I'm not quite sure exactly where they are. But yeah, that's quite good. And now I look at this door, and the door actually feels like it should be longer. I feel like I've made this part of the body a bit too tall. And this part comes back down, and here's this. So yeah, that's kind of correct. Again, harder than drawing the front, or the face, if you will. The face of the beetle is so well known, but it's funny how drawing a well-known car can be almost like drawing a well-known person, like drawing a celebrity. So you look at it and you go, yeah, so that is basically what I think I see, and yet somehow it doesn't feel beetle-like to me. Could it be that I think of this top as being much more curved? Maybe. Yes, wonky is the goal. Well, it's the goal just because it's inevitable, and so you end up with wonky drawings. But as Thistle says, even if we follow all the rules, we end up with wonkiness. And what is wonkiness in a way? Wonkiness is kind of inconsistency, I would say. It means that like your attention flags, and so therefore your lines aren't completely consistent. So, but let's try a different angle. I think I have another picture for you if you're ready to move on. I also think that maybe drawing this quickly could be the answer. let's try that with this. So this is what I would call the 3/4 perspective, sort of a little bit above and 3/4 away. This is kind of weird. Look at this old pad. It's a really old pad, and it has what seems to be some kind of early pornography drawn by my son when he was little. Weird. Yeah, this is like on the back of this pad. I'm going to have to talk with him about that. And here I've done this drawing, which is of a credenza that I don't even have anymore. I haven't had for a long time. This ancient drawing. This is actually a really fun thing to draw. I've drawn it many times. All right, but back to this VW. I just have to position the real one more or less the same way. And I'm going to draw it quickly. I'm going to draw it with a gesture. All right, so I just do this really quickly, and it kind of helped. At least I think it did. So I'm going to go back in. Speed. Don't slow down. Stop thinking. Any of you guys ever owned one of these cars? I think my parents, my mother and my first stepfather owned one in the mid-60s. And I just remember it was light blue. I always associate light blue VW Beetles with Ted Bundy. Yeah, it's not really a nice association. But I do remember seeing on eBay many years ago somebody trying to sell Ted Bundy's VW Beetle. I don't know, maybe it wasn't even really his, but they said it was. Yeah, oh boy. So what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this is that this should be rounder, the back. Maybe the hood should be longer. Yeah, boy, I love cars, but they are really hard to draw for me. I had a friend, Dan Price, who was really good at drawing cars quickly. I don't know if he knew much more about them than I did. And I remember when remember when there was the new VW Beetle? Then they did an even newer one, but when they did the first new one, which was probably close to 20 years ago, maybe longer, Dan was invited to be part of a road trip, and these people drove 3 of these VW Beetles across the country, a red one, a white one, and a blue one. And they got a lot of attention because people had never seen them before. Now they became kind of commonplace. Remember they had the little flower vase inside? So, yeah, that was kind of cool in those days. Alrighty. So yeah, so one of the things about drawing from this angle that I want to just think about is I just want to look at the wheel. I just want to look at so the wheel is an oval from this perspective. It's an oval like that. And then it has, this part wraps around it. So that's the hubcap. It's the insignia. And then there's the front of the tire. It's like that. And then there's this. So what's interesting about, and then, if you will, there's the treads that kind of go like that. I'm exaggerating that a bit, but that's sort of the general idea. So there's these different components. And that's what's great about drawing cars, or at least practicing drawing cars, is that you have so many classic drawing problems to confront. And one of those drawing problems is the thing that we've been talking about so far, which is the difference between what you think it looks like and what it does look like. So that's a problem in drawing just about anything, but it's certainly true of drawing cars because I mean, cars are like one of the first things we ever drew, right? One of the first drawings I can remember drawing probably was that. So there's things that we think we know how to draw, and yet we don't. It's only by slowing down and analyzing it, and then I think speeding up again. That's what I was saying before about the gesture of the car, is that it's very, very difficult to do gesture drawing slowly. And yet, to understand all the perspective and all the components of the car, you need to break them down into these elements. And you need to really kind of use your analytic skills to think about every angle, every curve, how they intersect, and how they differ from what you think they look like. So, thinking about these wheels, they are not what I think they are. And this hood is still, I think part of the problem is, I think if I even did, and this is a good excuse, but I think if I even did an accurate drawing of a VW Beetle, I might not recognize it. How's that for a good excuse? Yep, I might be doing really good drawings right now, folks, but I can't tell. But yeah, so that process of analysis helps you to learn the terrain. But I think it's like any physical skill. Imagine learning to shoot a basket. You have to practice slowly, or a golf swing. I think that's the classic example, right? You have to practice slowly and go through the steps, and then you have to develop muscle memory. So you're training your brain and your body. You're training them, doing it slowly, not necessarily well, but doing it as slowly, breaking it down into the parts. But ultimately, of course, you can't swing a golf club slowly. You have to swing it with force. So that's what happens is you're basically going through that process of thinking and trying, and then you, you can see what I'm doing, and then you put it all together. That's what they always say, put it all together now. When you put it all together, you're basically taking all that stuff that you've figured out, that you've thought through, and you're trying to make it intuitive, and you're trying to stop thinking, and start swinging, or gesturing wildly. So you need to go through those phases. So I think it's worth drawing the same thing over and over and over again, particularly with a car. Draw it over and over again, so you're breaking it down into those parts, and then you try and do it quickly. But I've been trying to draw this car for a couple weeks now. I still don't feel like I understand it properly. It's a really complex shape, and it's a familiar shape, so you can't really cheat. I mean, if you were going to draw a mountain, let's say, you could fudge it, because nobody else knows what that mountain looks like. But when it comes to a VW Beetle, you all know what it looks like. So that's the struggle. Bye, Thistle. Sorry, I see you have to run. So those are things to think about. practice, break it down, and then put it aside and just do it. Those are the steps, I think. Let me write those down. So it's kind of like assess, analyze. Is that how you spell assess? Looks like asses. Assess, measure, analyze. What else? Look at proportions, angles, proportions, measuring, all that stuff. I already said that. And then let it go. And hope that you have internalized it enough that when you do it again, it just shows up. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I'll try. I'll see. I'll even change color to, I'm going to use Ted Bundy blue. Are these off-color jokes about Ted Bundy? You offended by this? I hope not. All right, here we go. I'm feeling the car. All right, I wasn't able to speak while I was doing that. Because I was really trying. I was concentrating, but I was trying not to think. I was just trying to be and to just kind of move. So this is this perspective of this car. It's a slightly unusual perspective of the car too, right? Because it's not normally the way we look at VWs. Again, you think of them as being from the front or being from the back. I mean, that back is a classic, right? That back view. So that might be an even better one to draw. Let's try and draw that. Yeah, see that? That feels like a VW. Kind of. I think the top needs to be rounder. But it's also sort of like this little bit of a hunch into the, like kind of shrugged shoulders. That helps. So. There you have it. So, I think I'm going to wrap that up. That's good. All right. You're all quite quiet out there, so I'm assuming that you're all intensely drawing. But this is a fun thing to practice, obviously. Challenging. Get a bunch of paper. Get some fat markers. Get some thin things. And just try attacking it from different angles, And you could turn it every which way. And it's always a different shape. It's always changing. You could turn it upside down, have it sit on its back. So it's, I think a real car model as opposed to like a toy. I mean, it's obviously a toy car, but I mean, don't get like a Fisher Price kind of distorted cartoon car. Get something that's relatively real. I mean, this is like I paid $5 for it at CVS, but the thing is, it's an unfamiliar shape that's familiar, or it's you think you know it, but you don't. And I think that that's true of drawing faces as well. I think we refer to the face of a car, because it is sort of face-like and it has eyes, but it's also face-like in that it's very familiar to us, and yet we haven't really spent time sitting and thinking about it. And that's what happens when you sit and you draw a celebrity or you draw a family member. It's a real conflict between what you think they look like and what they do look like. So really, as I said, the only way through that is to really break it down. And when you break a face down into its parts, you can end up like I often see these YouTube tutorials about how to draw an eye, how to draw a nose, how to draw a mouth. I find them problematic because certainly learning to draw individual features is not going to allow you to draw a face. Just like if you drew every single part of a car, if you drew, if you took this car apart, a real car, into like whatever the 7,000 parts that it makes, and you drew each one of them, you wouldn't be drawing the car. And I think similarly with faces, if you break them down into their components, you may lose the essential themness that makes a real portrait. I think if you look at a lot of great portraitists, they're not necessarily accurately drawing eyes, but they're somehow capturing the essence of the person. And I think similarly with a car, it's like, how do you capture the essence? How do you capture the essence of this car versus another brand, another model? How is this different from a Cadillac, a brand new Cadillac, an SUV? Increasingly, a lot of cars are looking more and more and more alike, because basically engineering has made them as efficient as possible. And that's moving all cars to kind of a single car. But faces always retain their individuality. And classic cars built before, let's say, 1975, they still have a lot of individuality. And that's why I think that they're a great thing to study and to draw. You may not be into cars, but try it nonetheless and see if that's helpful. Okay, I don't see any other questions or comments, so I think I'll just stop. Maybe you're not even there anymore. I think some of you are. Thanks for drawing with me, and let's do it again real soon. In the meantime, break a face down into its parts. That's what boss muscle do, says hurdy-gurdy. True that. Not sure if that's going to help your drawing skills, particularly if your hands are all swollen from giving a beat down. But yeah, the basic idea still holds true. So yes, so thanks for drawing with me. Do keep drawing this week. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to draw with you or to talk about drawing, and I'd be happy to do it. We are nearing this massive phase of production, so I'll have a bit more time to think about drawing with you and to then actually do the drawing with you. So that would be fun. And for those of you who are drawing cars and trucks and have ideas about them, perceptions, revelations, share them with me. Put them on the schoolyard, which is the Sketchbook School network, or share them on social media. And you could tag me, or you could tag #DrawWithMe, and I'll look for them. But and if you're really great at drawing cars and you want to give me a lesson, please do, because this is something I struggle with. It's something I've thought a fair amount about. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you're drawing cars, bicycles. There's a whole other ball game. Bicycles are fascinating to draw. Fascinating because, again, we think we know what they look like, but yet we don't. You don't really know where the seat goes. You don't really know what the construction of the pipes are. Where exactly do the pedals fit? I mean, I've seen a lot of drawings of people have done of bicycles, and it's really difficult if you're drawing from your mind. And even if you're looking at a bicycle, it's a really complicated shape. The spokes, what do you put in? What do you leave out? So lots and lots of stuff in there, and keep drawing, and sign up for Mixed Media Journaling. Please do. And if for some reason you're not going to sign up for Mixed Media Journaling and you'd like to tell me about it, so I can either try and change your mind, or I can learn about why what we've done isn't right for you, that would be helpful also. You can email me, you can message me, you can put comments down here on YouTube. There's lots of things you could do to reach out to me. I'm eager to hear from you and to learn from you in many ways. But Mixed Media Journaling, it's going to be really fun, and I hope that I'll see you there too. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day. Have a nice almost end of October. Whoa.